Good evening and welcome to Sportsman. I'm Dyah. Joining me tonight is our producer Hassan, who will be discussing the issues that concern the most exciting tournament that culminated in the weekend, the Blackheart Tournament. Also tonight we have our special guest, Chris Wells, a decorated table tennis player. On to the Blackheart news. The weekend saw what is arguably St. Lucia's most exciting football tournament come to an end, with the third place competition being played between Mabia and Roseau. The game was decided on penalties after a 0-0 draw at extra time. The fight for third place was definitely victorious, and Mabia resulted in that victory. They won without prejudice, putting 3 goals past Babino to lift the trophy. The goal scorers were Troy Greenwich, Petros Gustav, and Eden Charles. The tournament was widely supported, with the final day turnout at the BCG to be an estimated 4,000 fans. Amongst those football fans were 2 sports celebrities, Levon Spencer and West Indies cricket captain Darren Sanders. Now on to international news. With the World Cup winding down, countries can book their tickets to the World Cup or fall out of running as we move closer to Brazil in 2014. Here's what's at stake in Tuesday's World Cup qualifiers. In Group A, Belgium and Croatia are flying with second place Croats, 9 points clear of third place Serbia, with Scotland and Wales for the back. Belgium have won all their games apart from a 1-1 home draw with Croatia and are already assured of at least a playoff spot. Despite that, Belgium are only 3 points ahead of Croatia, and 2 a massive qualifier in Zagreb on Tuesday. The winner should take the group. The loser should be in the playoffs. A draw works for Belgium. In Group B, Italy are large and in charge, 4 points clear at the top of the group. They played second place Bulgaria on Friday in a big game and won 1-0. Italy make a direct qualification a formality with 2 wins, while Bulgaria with points to stay ahead of third place Czech Republic, who are a single point out of the playoffs place. The Czechs play Italy tomorrow. Whoever can take a point off Italy could gain the upper hand in the battle for second. Meanwhile, Armenia and Denmark are in serious peril. Denmark beat Armenia on Tuesday to give themselves hope and take revenge for a 4-0 drubbing at home in the reverse fixture against the Armenians. If they don't take 6 points, Denmark will be headed for the biggest disappointment of Morten Olsen's 14 years in charge. Group C involves Germany, a steam-rolling team. Their way towards Brazil as Yogi Low's side look comfortable leading Group C. The battle for second is a quagmire, with 3 nations fighting for it: Sweden, Australia, and Ireland. All missed out in the last World Cup at South Africa and are hoping to clinch a spot. And all come into these qualifiers with intense pressure to qualify. Surprisingly, Australia have looked the most impressive of the 3 sides, with a far superior goal difference to Sweden and Ireland. But it's Australia who get Germany in this round, while Sweden get Kazakhstan. All the other games involving these sides are against us, and Ireland face a make or break week with games against both Australia and Sweden. Group D says the Netherlands dominate, and all but in a can clinch qualification if things go their way in this round of fixtures. Second place seems to be a battle between Hungary and Romania. The 2 nations play in Bucharest on Tuesday, and the winner is in pole position for the playoffs. Still don't count it out just yet. Frequent manager Fatih Terim, the current Galatasaray manager, has just been reappointed to revive the Turks' sagging campaign. The man who guided Turkey to the semi-finals of Euro 2008 has been brought back again. They have more talent than either Hungary or Romania. Terim hopes to pull it all together. In Group F, if by far the weakest qualifying group, perennial good luck side Switzerland, have the inside track to automatic qualification. Being at the top of the group, the Swiss are surprisingly trailed by Albania, who are bidding to make their first major tournament ever. The region's Cinderella has Iceland on their tails, along with Norway, Slovenia, who acquitted themselves well in 2010, are just about out of the running. Switzerland are feeling good, but things could move in the coming days in the race for second. In Group F, there is intrigue at the top of this group. A three-way drag race between Portugal, Russia, and outsiders Israel. Portugal, who haven't missed a World Cup since 1998 but had to go through the playoffs in 2010, are leading the group. But they have a game in hand on their two rivals. Russia, managed by Fabio Capello, sank to a disappointing defeat at Northern Ireland in the last qualifier. But they control their own destiny with a window to an automatic berth. Israel also control their own destiny. Heady times for a side that has never played in a World Cup. The three only face off in one match in the coming day. Israel and Russia on Tuesday in St. Petersburg. Of the three nations, only two can move on. Portugal and Russia have the talent, but it would be unwise to count out the feisty Israelis. Group G, there are two clear favorites in a settled Group G, Bosnia and Herzegovina for automatic qualification, and Greece right in the mix again for the playoff spot. Bosnia leads on points with an impressive record, while Greece are second with third place. Slovakia just off the pace at the top. If both teams take care of business, they'll finish first and second. Bosnia have talent. They could be a force in Brazil. And as countless teams will attest, Greece know how to navigate a major tournament. In Group H, England expects to qualify. At least England does have a game in hand on the leaders. But they'll most likely have to play it without Wayne Rooney. Also in the mix is Ukraine. 1 point behind England, 3 behind Montenegro. Ukraine and England play a huge game in Kiev on Tuesday. While Poland, who are disappointingly sagging in fourth, can revitalize their campaign by beating Montenegro on Friday. It's a competitive group, one that England will do well to win, even with their obvious edge in talent and prestige. In Group I, the one group in Europe with only 5 teams, has 2 good ones in front of qualifying. Spain lead on, while France sits behind the pressure. It's on Spain to win all their remaining games and relegate the French back into the playoffs. And with games against Finland, Belarus and Georgia remaining. The defending champions of the world are a good bet to take 9 points and book their trip. France have to win out and hope Spain slip, otherwise they'll have to go through the playoffs. In Asia, Asian qualifying is over. Japan, Australia, Iran and South Korea have already punched their tickets to Brazil. All that remains is the Asian 5th place playoff, the winner of which plays the 5th place team from South America in a playoff to go to the World Cup. The Asian playoff will be contested by 2 countries with no World Cup history, Jordan and Uzbekistan. The first leg in Jordan on Tuesday, and the tie finishes in Uzbekistan on Friday. Uzbekistan is favored to get through. They only missed out on automatic qualification to South Korea on goal difference. While Jordan finished far behind Japan and Australia, whoever moves on will be major underdogs in the final playoff games against the 5th place South American team, which could very well be Uruguay. In the CONCACAF group, just a summer on the major inquisition, Jürgen Klinsmann has the USA flying into the World Cup. The Americans need 4 points from the next 2 games to punch the ticket, and their aim will be to win the 3rd hexagonal consecutive cycle. It won't be easy in the coming days though, as the US plays the 2nd and 3rd place sides in the hex, Costa Rica and Mexico. The Ticos are having a nice campaign, sitting comfortably in 2nd place. If they get a point of the USA and 3 from the game against last place Jamaica, they're almost to Brazil themselves. The path of Mexico is a little less cozy. El Tri has been a continuing state of disarray. A shocking run of form for Chepo del Toro, who still has his job, with only 2 separating Mexico from Honduras and Panama, and a total of 0 goals scored at Estadio Azteca so far in qualification. Mexico faces must-win games against Panama and in Columbus against the US in one of the most fantastic derbies in world football. Columbus has been a hellish spot for Mexico recently, and the US will most likely have a chance to qualify in the game again on Tuesday. It will be a huge occasion. The pace setters are Honduras and Panama, competing for the last automatic qualification and 4th place. 4th players, New Zealand, in a playoff for a chance to go to Brazil. Honduras have an uninspiring but competent side, while Panama are looking to break down barriers and make their first World Cup. Jamaica will start 3 players with Travis Powell, Ryan Johnson, and Captain Donovan Ricketts are all but out of the tournament. The famous South America CONMEBOL group picks up. as South America's foremost team, Brazil, have already qualified automatically as World Cup hosts. They play a friendly against Australia during the international break, while CONMEBOL qualifying rages on. Unlike in 2010, when Argentina's hotness in World Cup qualifying took after the manager Diego Maradona, the Argentines are sitting top of South America's single 10-team group. Argentina can qualify with a win over massively disappointed bottom-place Paraguay. Second place Colombia took a good bet to make their first World Cup since 1998 with a star-studded roster, while Ecuador and Chile, both on 21 points, are in a great spot, 5 points clear of the automatic qualification cut-off line. The real tussle appears to be a fifth place. Both Uruguay and Venezuela are on 16 points, with Peru looking too behind. Uruguay made a tremendously slow start to qualifying, but they've picked it up as of late. They don't want to be the first defending World Cup semi-finalists of the 20th century to not qualify for the next World Cup. Venezuela are trying to make their first World Cup, while Peru are aiming for the first spot in the world's biggest sporting event since 1982. However, whoever gets the playoff spot will be favourite to advance to the tournament over the winner of Uzbekistan versus Jordan. The African qualifying groups. Africa's new World Cup qualifying campaign is drool-inducing for neutrals, heart attack-inducing for people with a stake. 10 qualifying groups, the winners of which play each other in a two-legged playoff for the region's 5 World Cup spots. Ethiopia would have been through, but they had to forfeit the victory over Botswana for fielding ineligible players. Ethiopia thought they had clinched a week later with a 2-1 win over South Africa, but now the South Africans have been granted a reprieve. 2 points behind the leaders, the 2010 hosts need beat Botswana and hope for a miracle victory for a Central African Republic over Ethiopia, or the World Cup dream is over. Tunisia, a draw or win against second place Cape Verde, and Ivory Coast is already through, convincingly taking the group. It all comes down to fairy tale side Zambia, the 2012 African Cup of Nations champion, against one of Africa's leading sides, the only African side in the 21st century to advance from group stage in 2 different World Cups, Ghana. A draw or win will see Ghana advance. Zambia need to make all 3 points. Ghana playing at home have been given a boost by the fact that new Schalke signing Kevin Prince Boateng has made himself available for international selection again after a 2-year hiatus from the Black Stars. Things are congested here. Congo, Burkina Faso, and Gabon all have a chance to advance. Burkina Faso are a point behind Congo, but Gabon 3 points behind. Burkina Faso have to forfeit the first game against Congo for fielding an eligible player. A 3-0 result that could be the difference in the group. Gabon need to beat Burkina Faso and hope Niger upset Congo, who could put all the intrigue to bed with a win over the last place team. Burkina Faso need to beat Gabon and hope Niger can hold Congo. Current African Cup of Nations champions Nigeria have left things late. If they lose to Malawi, they are. Nigeria only need a point from the game to advance. Bob Bradley's Egypt, in a simply sensational story, are already through with a 100% record. It's impossible to root against Bradley, who has come into a seemingly impossible situation and is on the doorstep of qualifying a war-torn country without any operating professional league for a possibly nation-uniting World Cup. Algeria looking to make a second Cup after it. Cameroon versus Libya. For all the marbles, Cameroon only need a point. Libya also, in a potentially amazing story, need 3. Senegal and Uganda playing Morocco in the group deciding game. Senegal only need a draw. Uganda need to win as the country tries to qualify for the first time. In the ocean of things, New Zealand are through with ease, awaiting the 4th place team in CONCACAF. It's a favourable playoff match for all whites who finished the 2010 World Cup undefeated. Tahiti, the Confederations Cup, the whooping boys are once again seen to be down and out. On to tennis. Crossing with a skirt on the weekend, Serena Williams was troubled in the US Open final by the swirling air and the strong play of Victoria Azarenka. After one miss, Williams declared, "I can't play in this wind." After blowing a second set lead, Williams chucked her racket toward the sideline and it bounced back onto the court. In the end, Williams pulled herself together, as she usually does when it matters most. Facing her first test of the past 2 weeks, the number 1 seed Williams overcame number 2 Azarenka on Sunday for a 5th championship at Flushing Meadows, beating her 7-5 in the first set and 6-1 in the third set. Williams, who turns 32 in 2.5 weeks, raised a Grand Slam singles title count to 17. the 6th most in history, and one shy of Martina Navratilova and Chris Evert. Williams got a $40.6 million prize for producing the best results during the North American Summer Hardcourt circuit leading to the US Open. Helped by 9 aces, won at 126 miles per hour, Williams improved to 67 wins to 4 losses with a career best 9 titles in 2013. Since the first round exit at the 2012 French Open, Williams is 98 wins to 5 losses with 14 titles, winning 4 of the past 6 Grand Slam tournaments. But this one did not come easily, even though it appeared to be nearly over when Williams went ahead by 2 breaks at 4-1 in the second set. Williams saved for the match at 5-4 and 6-5, only to have the gutsy Azarenka break each time. Ultimately, she came through to the end and beat her emphatically 6-1 in the final set to clinch the title. The men's tournament is on as we speak, moving forward. It would seem Nadal never left the arena. He seemed renewed and produced amazing tennis with razor-sharp slices against Djokovic, and the well-placed balls to take the first set in a convincing 6-2 win over Novak. Novak showing that he is indeed world-class, and maybe number 1 rightly has fought back in a superb second set, volleying 4-2, shot for shot with the Spaniard, and taking the second set 6-3. The third set is on the way, and both players are hitting some amazing shots and making incredible plays. However, Djokovic seems to have settled down and has a chance to take the lead 7-3-2. But Nadal comes back and is fighting to break Djokovic with a series of scintillating volleys and even it up at 3-3. What a third set this was proving to be, with a match for these two champions. As a result of more daring plays and outstanding technique, Nadal went up 4-3, breaking Djokovic to take the game. As we speak, the game is ongoing, and reports are coming in that Nadal has taken the third set and is currently up 3-1 in the fourth set, leading Djokovic. As Sports Nights continues, we will update you with live scores of the men's championship of the US Open taking place at Flushing Meadows. Now over to Hassan to discuss the Blackheart's weekend activities, as we saw an amazing turnout, including celebrities, sports personalities turn up. Hassan, good evening and welcome to Sports Night.
Good evening, Dyah. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, sir.
Wonderful.
What's most exciting about Blackheart for you this weekend?
I would like to say good evening to all viewers, persons listening and watching out there. Thanks for tuning in. And Blackheart, the atmosphere, number one, Dyah, the atmosphere was just superb. We had, like you said earlier, an estimate of 4,000 persons out there who came out to support their teams. We had Babuno, they had their supporters, they had a lot of supporters. Grosley, of course, we expected many supporters from the Grosley for the Grosley team. I think they even had their cheerleaders as well. So they were very prepared for it. In the end, you saw, well, as you said, they won 3-0. Babuno really had no answer for them. And in the third place match before that, we saw Mabuya and Rosso going into penalty shootout. And, you know, I will go through a bit more in detail as to the Blackheart tournament on a whole and the night that was, the finals, right after you two with your guest for tonight. But honestly, I mean, it was a superb evening, a great evening for football in St. Lucia on a whole, and there was a lot on show. And let me tell you, next year, I know that you know, God's will, everything will be better than what happened here. So back over to you, Dyah.
Thank you, Hassan. Tonight we have with us Mr. Chris Wells, who is a national table tennis player who has represented St. Lucia for the last 2 decades. He has won several local and regional individual and team titles, and he has competed internationally at the Commonwealth Games and World Championships. This year's accomplishments include winning the Tennis Day singles title, second in the National League, being a member of the winning of the French Champions Tournament, placing doubles, being a member of the winning team, and just concluded ACS Championships, placing third in the men's singles and doubles and winning the mixed doubles event. Chris, good evening.
Well, good evening, Dyah, and good evening, all viewers.
Chris, is there anybody who has won more than you in St. Lucia in table tennis?
Oh yes, yes. There have been. Well, in terms of the history of our sport, we have Adrian Albert, who has done quite a lot. He's currently number one in St. Lucia. And we have Teddy Matthews, who did a lot in the 80s and beginning of the 90s.
So in terms of our all-time table tennis greats, where do you rank yourself?
It depends on how you want to judge it. In terms of being an all-rounder, in terms of not only being a player, I'll have to put myself among those who have contributed the most to the sport. Because I not only serve as a player as most of the other national players did, I also serve in the capacity of coaching, and I've been on the executive for a while, so I have to be multitasking all the time compared to just focusing only on just playing. So I'm being a LeBron James in the table tennis sport. All around there.
So tell us about the OACS championships where your team placed third, well you placed third in the singles, and you guys won in the doubles, am I correct?
Yeah, we won the mixed doubles and we won the team title. We actually won all 7 titles. Well, it's a tournament St. Lucia has always been doing well in, but this year we wanted to bring it to a next level by trying to win all the titles. And luckily we were able to accomplish it through hard work, of course.
Okay. Olympics, of course, is a couple of years away. Are there any aspirations to see St. Lucia produce an Olympic table tennis team?
Well, there are aspirations, but it's not something we look forward to seeing in, let's say, 5 years, or it will take a process. Because I remember once going to an international event and they said it takes about 20 years to produce an Olympic champion. In other words, the systems have to be in place to be able to produce it in our sport. And one of the things, yes?
Go on.
And for our sport, seeing the fact that the Asian nations are the strongest in the world, meaning like China, Taiwan, these countries are the strongest in the world, it's a little difficult to produce a high-class table tennis player in our zone without them having a lot of exposure or influence in the Asian market. It's like having an Asian training only in Asia for athletics. You know, like the Caribbean produces most of the top sprinters. It's just a natural, but we have the good culture in short distance races, and then you have Africa producing very good long distance runners. So there are cultures and sports in different zones around the world.
So you mean in order to do that, we would need to have some system in place to work with the Asian tournaments and to compete on that level?
Yes.
Do you see the Table Tennis Association having any avenues to create such an environment for our young aspiring table tennis stars to achieve those goals?
Well, the National Association, they are working tediously, but I mean, we're working very hard, especially at working with the younger kids. Because, at example, in my time playing, I started table tennis at about age 14, right? And which is very old. We find persons getting in the top 100 in the world by age 15, 16, you know, and on the international level. So you find right now our focus is more on the students under 11 years, 9, 8, 7 years. So our future looks brighter than it was before, as we speak.
Excellent.
Based on what we're doing right now.
Excellent. Now, in your capacity as a coach, what advice do you give to the youngsters who want to advance themselves in the sport?
Well, I'll let them know that first of all, they must be very disciplined. They must not be afraid of hard work. They must not be afraid of losing, and they must understand that losing is part of being successful. So you have to lose in order to get better. And table tennis, do not look at table tennis as a sport where you can actually lose, because points are actually won. someone just wins a little more points than you do in the game. You lose 11-8, you won 8 points, the person won 11 points. So you're not really a loser. But the discipline is the key, and willing to train harder and push themselves just to be a little better at every practice.
Right. So tell me, how long have you been playing? I have your bio listed as 2 decades. Have you been playing for 20 years or has it been longer?
It has been longer. Initially, I mean, my father made a table tennis board at my home just to allow me to play home. And I played with some of my friends. You know, I never got to a good standard until a few of my neighbors who actually had national experience came to my home. They saw a board and they played, and my eyes opened up to a higher level. And within a reasonable time, I was discovered by some other national players, and they invited me to play a local junior tournament, which I placed third in, which was my first tournament. I placed third. And from there, history.
Great. So what training regime do you normally have to prepare for a tournament or generally for any competition?
Well, the training includes doing a lot of drills on the table, as well as a lot of physical exercises like jogging, doing the sprints, and I have other routines I use for myself to actually help me, like reading a lot, just to help get the brain and the mind a little stronger during competition, so nothing can actually phase me during the tournament. So reading helps in that capacity.
We have questions coming in from some of our viewers, and one of the questions is, who has been your toughest opponent?
Locally?
Locally and internationally, who has been your toughest opponent?
Well, internationally they will have a lot of persons, but locally I must say the current number 1, Adrian Albert. He has been the toughest opponent, because we both have similar styles in the fact that we like to keep the ball on the table. So it's like a Nadal and Djokovic match when we compete.
As you mentioned, Nadal and Djokovic there, reports are coming in that the match is concluded and Rafael Nadal
Yes.
has won the US Open. He's now the 2013 US Open champion. He took it in 3 sets, winning Novak Djokovic 6-2 the first set. Djokovic bounced back to win the second set 6-3. Nadal took the third set 6-3 and the final set 6-1. Nadal's dominance is now back in tennis. This left-hand has won. Congratulations to the 2013 US Open men's champion Rafael Nadal.
Yes.
Back to you, Chris. While we're on the subject of tennis, would you say that being a small island, it would make sense to integrate table tennis and lawn tennis under one department so as to gain the maximum resources to push forward our tennis athletes? Or do you think they should be separate?
You mean combining the 2 sports? I didn't get the question clearly.
Being that we're a small island, a population of 170,000 people with limited resources,
Yeah.
and there are a few tennis groups in the country in lawn tennis and table tennis. My question to you is, since you've been around in the sport competing for St. Lucia for around about 20 years, would you think it's advantageous to have tennis under one bracket to gain the maximum support financially and otherwise, or to keep the sports separate? Which do you think is best?
Well, though the name is tennis, but it's better to keep it separate, since both sports follow the rules based on the international federations.
Okay.
And they're quite different, even if they're similar.
Yeah, one is on ground, one is on a small ball. One has a big ball, one has a small ball. But in terms of funding, where is the main source of funds for table tennis coming from presently?
Well, we explore all avenues. We get from private sponsors. Sometimes we get from Olympic Solidarities. Sometimes we get from the Department of Youth Development. It depends on what age group, and if it's students going overseas and competing, well, yes, but sometimes we have to get our own source of funding as well. A National Lotteries Authority as well.
Okay. And as you have been a professional in the sport for a while, what ideas do you have right now, or can you think of at the top of your head? Give me one idea that can assist funding to improve the sport of table tennis in St. Lucia.
One idea to increase funding, to me, is by more focusing on the youth. Because anytime you have a lot of youth involved in stuff, you get more persons passionate to seeing the kids do well, and it's a sport that helps you all-roundedly in terms of your schoolwork and just keeping the kids engaged all the time. It's something that's fun, and it's not something that can only be played outdoors. It's played indoors. So having a large base of students through the primary school and secondary schools competing in a fun environment is one way to attract sponsors. But sponsors like numbers.
Okay. One of our viewers has a question for you. This viewer has a son who's 7 years and wants to know what's the earliest age someone can start playing table tennis.
Well, the earliest age you could start playing table tennis, to believe it or not, is probably at age 2. Right?
Age 2?
Yes. 2 years ago, I would not have believed this, but last year I was privileged to be part of an international coaching course, okay. And the coach taught us how to coach kids from as young as 2 or 3 years, and the name of it is called baby ping. So we were taught how to introduce the sport to baby ping, like ping pong, like baby ping. We were taught how to allow the kids to have fun at a young age. It doesn't entail a lot, but it gets them to have fun from that age going up. So I'm currently trained to coach kids from that age up, but I rather deal with probably 5 and up.
5 and up?
Yes.
All right. And where are most of your coaching sessions held generally?
Well, most times, the coaching sessions are done everywhere, because I'm currently active in a lot of the schools, both primary and secondary schools, introducing the sport and doing coaching sessions. We also have many training sessions being done at the Cashries Table Tennis Center, which is located opposite the Cashries Comprehensive School.
Okay.
And this is where the national players train as well.
Okay. So if a person interested in table tennis wants to take up the sport recreationally or with the vision of becoming a professional, how would you advise them to get onto yourself or into a professional setting where qualified coaches like yourself can train them?
Well, I'll first have to give them a contact number, and then we talk. Then we organize how you get the right equipment, because equipment is very key in developing yourself in sports. When I started, I neglected that aspect, but I realized how important it is in terms of learning the correct techniques and stuff as you improve.
Okay. Well, what we will do is via Sports Night on Swiss Sports Online, if anyone wants to reach out and start to play the sport of table tennis, and some expectation we'll have them contact us and then forward the information to you, and we can take it from there.
Yes.
Right. Chris, I have a question for you before Hassan himself may have a couple of questions. Let me ask you, your experience tonight on Sports Night, how has it been so far?
I didn't hear the last part. I beg your pardon?
How's your experience been on Sports Night? How's the experience been this evening?
Oh yes, it has been.
Sports Online, Sports Night.
It has fun from the beginning before we actually started. It has been fun and continues to be fun. I see Hassan only smiling. You
Over to you,
know?
Hassan.
Yes, Chris, it was really nice hearing you guys go through this with Dyah asking you the questions, the persons out there asking you the questions. It's really nice the work that you're doing in getting the youth involved and setting that foundation that we need to have persons like you, persons like Adrian, persons like Faith, and the list goes on, Omari, etc. So it's nice to have them. And also what was nice is the young folks who we are commenting on a few of our posts that you sent for us with some tournaments, and they were excited, and we look forward to having probably one of the younger ones on the show, of course accompanied by probably one of you guys. That would be perfect. So it's a really good thing to have you on the show. And I know that the persons out there who asked the questions, they would have gotten the answers that that would definitely be helpful to them. And as we go on to our discussion part, you could feel free to hang out for a few minutes. I know Dyah may want to ask you one or two questions in our discussion segment, which is about it's going to be about 15 minutes. And we close off the show for this evening. But just before we do, I would just like to thank you for joining us on our fourth episode of SSN, and we look forward to hearing more about you and inviting you to some of the shows to come. So thanks once again.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this information as well.
Wonderful, no problem.
Hassan, tell us about Blackheart. What impressed you the most, and how did you think it gave you the entire competition run? And also, what disappointed you?
What hurt me the most was that I didn't see you.
Next time.
Yeah, but I mean, Blackheart, and just before I go into Blackheart, actually, our two persons we gave away tickets to on the last show, that was Brad, and he got a ticket for two. I mean, Brad and his girlfriend, they came over. They were with us at the Players Lounge. They enjoyed the view from the Players Lounge watching the game. I mean, it's one of our first giveaways, SSN, and thanks to Travis, our producer at the back, getting everything done. I mean, it was really nice. Those guys got the privilege to see the football from the best view you can see. I mean, Dyah, let me tell you something. It was like watching football at Old Trafford, It was just a really nice view, and they enjoyed it. They stayed with us for a while, and we would like to say that we have some more giveaways to come. It's just the beginning. But Blackheart, when we got there, Dyah, you would think it was a 2020 match. It was full, packed. I mean, there was no space to walk. I think some people actually had to walk on top of vehicles to get to the stands. But it was really packed. I mean, we saw persons coming, and I'm like, Travis, what you estimate? 2,000. Yeah. By the time you look at it, by the time the finals has begun, the totals went up massively to 4,000. The third place game between Mabuya and Roseau, Mabuya, they dominated that game. Roseau came into it for a bit, but only for a bit. Mabuya really played well. I think actually they were one of the favorites to go to the finals, but they lost to Rosalie in the semi-finals, 1-0. But I mean, they played ball. When I tell you they played the ball along the ground, they played the same type of ball that Rosalie played, and they were two of the better teams in the competition. I think Marsha and Dennery were the other disappointments, but more so Marsha, they were actually tipped to go through to the finals. But when you heard about the finals, when you heard that it was Grosley and Babuno who made the finals, many people were like, oh my, will this prove to be a well-attended final? We used to the Mabuya and the Dennery bringing in the fans, right? So people were like, oh, the organizers would have been hoping that, it was a good thing. But I mean, come on, it's in the north. You have Babuno. Yes, the transportation system is not too good for Babuno in the night, but they got buses out there. Let me tell you, there were many supporters for Babonneau, many supporters for Grosley. Grosley team, they went on to win 3-0. It was just unbelievable. After that long third place game where it went into penalties, Mabuya defeating Roseau, everyone just waited for that game, Grosley versus Babonneau. Did it live up to expectation? No. Babonneau, they did not show up. I don't know, it was like during halftime, guys were very upset. They were 3-0 down, and people were predicting, okay, how many goals Grosley going to score? 6, 8. You know, the list goes on. And guess what? They didn't score in the second half, but they won 3-0. The traffic towards Grosley was, celebration mode. We followed that traffic. We went into the Grosley town. People were just waiting, for a party. I mean, everybody was just waiting, hoping to. I saw a soca artist there, and I thought he was going to perform, but I honestly, we left there and nothing went on in terms of partying. I believe Babonneau actually had a party. I don't think the guys really, them coming second really affected that party. Or probably the players did not party, but I know the people did because it was just a party atmosphere at the BCG. So all in all, Blackheart, I know it was a really, really good tournament. All out to the teams who took part. And there is a game coming up. I think it's the Blackheart All-Star team. They're going to face a Coca-Cola team in a Coca-Cola championship match that is coming up. Because do you know that the World Cup trophy is coming down to St. Lucia? And that's a great thing. Coca-Cola is bringing down that trophy. And it's going to be really, really interesting to see the type of team that the Blackheart team is going to look like. And I know that next year, the tournament is going to be even bigger. I might even be playing that tournament next year. I cannot see $2,000 going to waste in the top goal scorer. I am going to go ahead and win that. So the thing about it is that football in St. Lucia, there's a lot of talent. And Dyah speaking to Travis, and we may be looking at doing some live streaming of the next tournament so that you could stay where you are and you could see action from your home.
Excellent. Hassan, I suspect you believe in miracles because you said something about playing in the next tournament and getting the top scorer. So you must be a guy with a lot of faith. For that, I'd like to thank you for your faith and good luck for next year. But Hassan, I want to talk about the football on an international stage. What has been probably the most talked about point over the past week and a half as the leagues turn to the various leagues. The weekend competitions continue around the world between the mighty Barcelonas of Spain and French Paris Saint-Germain and the Bundesliga and the English Premier League. We saw what was the most chaotic transfer window to this date that has transpired, including another world record signing. Can you believe 85.3 million pounds, 100 euros for the Welshman Gareth Bale? I mean, I like the guy. I think he's an exciting player. I wish he came to Manchester United, which I support. Unfortunately, whether he's actually worth that price, we will see next season or season to come. We can argue that when Cristiano Ronaldo was the world's most expensive player at 80 million pounds, that he was worth it, or maybe not. But he went to Madrid, and only to who seems to find the back of the net as if it was some magnet that he's got to that ball and the net. Ronaldo definitely showed why he was worth 80 million pounds. The question is, can Gareth Bale handle that pressure? And the Welsh wizard continue flying down those wings with an amazing left foot. More importantly, I am yet to see, and I would really want to know who would be taking the free kicks at Real Madrid. Would it be Ronaldo or Bale? Something for us to keep our eyes on. But I want to rant and raise it at a particular transfer that took place at the club that I support, Manchester United. Without pointing the finger to square at anybody, but Manchester United, the second richest football club in the world, just picked by Real Madrid earlier this year, was not able to make a single solid, as they called it, marquee signing over the summer. Instead, on transfer deadline, which we almost missed, we signed ourselves a 6'2" tall guy with an afro. A guy who is mostly known for an occasional elbow or two. A guy whom I have no idea whether he would work or not. A guy, in fact, if you ask me, I say congratulations to him because this is what it is. He's now going to a bigger club and has gotten a bigger paycheck. The question is that signing a signing that Manchester United needed? And is David Moyes indeed the chosen one, as he has been dubbed by the Old Trafford faithful? Can Marion Fellaini be of any significance to Manchester United? Is that the signing that we needed? It is baffling to think. And I myself have written about it, an article I hope will be soon posted on the website, as to the uses of Marion Fellaini. And to be fair to the guy, we can say that David Moyes sees him as a holding midfielder. Something different to what he plays at Everton. I mean, you hear commentators say that he's better up front in the box. But in the box at Manchester United, you have Robin van Persie, the goal machine. You have Danny Welbeck, who is much more skillful than Fellaini. You have Kagua, although not yet breaking into the first team, but right there. You have Nani. And you have Wayne Rooney, who you cannot leave the guy out, regardless of whatever tantrum that he may pull. So tell me, Hassan, where will Marion Fellaini play? And did we need such a signing? I mean, if we needed a defensive midfielder with all the money that we could muster as a powerful company, as a powerful team, then we were the Glazers. Couldn't we have gone after somebody in the mold of Fernandinho who Tottenham bought, and they spent a little 30 mil for him? You know, we always 30 mil for Fellaini. He's not even in the world of Roy Keane, or he's not a Todd McAlely. He's not a Lucas of Liverpool. Gerrard, what is happening at Manchester United? Hassan, will we be the next Liverpool? Will we have to wait for 20 years and maybe longer to win the next title on the chosen one? Or could this be our best season when Moyes shows that he does not need big name players to win titles? What do you think, Hassan?
Dyah, to answer one of your questions, who will take the free kicks for Real Madrid? That's very easy. I believe in miracles. I will be taking the first free kick.
Indeed, you believe in miracles.
I will take the first free kick. However, in terms of the signing of Fellaini, I mean, it was a disappointment to many Man United fans. But even what was more of a disappointment is Arsenal getting Ozil. That was a bigger disappointment. But I always say I'm not a die-hard Manchester United fan. I just really love the club. I love the club a lot. So I don't know who calls me a die-hard fan. I'm speaking non-biased, right? So in terms of Manchester United, again, I stick to it. They're going to win the league. Fellaini is going to be special. Either he's going to be special playing or special on the bench. But something special is going to happen. If something special doesn't happen, then someone is going to be fired. However, I have names, but the thing about Manchester United and what I like about the club is that they believe in the youth. And I believe from day one, Moyes was bigging up the whole signing thing, knowing that he was not really going to sign many players. He was just looking for one or two players, actually, midfield and a left back. And it was more of something whereby the fans were promised one thing, so they were probably just, ensuring to keep the fans in it. But all along, I think he was telling the players that he has, I believe in you guys. I believe in everything that you were taught before, and I believe that you have a future at the club. I don't think he wanted to unsettle anybody, including Rooney. I don't think he wanted to bring in somebody that would cause one of the young players to lose confidence. So all in all, Fellaini he's something that Manchester need. Sorry, that they want. They actually need him too, but whether he's going to prove himself, we'll see what happens. As I said, he's not played for Manchester yet. I'm not going to judge him based on he's playing for Everton only, because it's a different team. So let's see how he goes with Manchester United and Carrick behind him. So all in all, I mean, for me, I'm going to take the free kicks at Real Madrid and Manchester United to win the EPL by 8 points.
Yeah, Hassan, keep dreaming. Now, over to basketball. Chris, I know you're a basketball fan. Let me ask you, do you see LeBron getting lucky again and winning the ring? What do you call him, King James? Is that possible? I know I'm right about not being hated by all the fans right now, but after all, I mean, you must admit the guy's been lucky.
He has been lucky?
Yeah, I mean, having a couple of bad games, Dwayne Wade, you know, helping out the Heat, you know, I mean, and I don't know what to say. You know, this last playoff there, they should have never won that, but then again, it's the nature of sports. So, tell me, you think it's going to happen that he'll get to win another ring again and brag some more?
Well, he has the ability because he has proven to the NBA that he makes teams better. He makes every team he has been on, the team is good. I mean, I didn't like him at first, but when he brought Cleveland, who had no stars, the only other player that could have played was Mo Williams, and he cannot start on any other team. And then they had the best record in the NBA for 2 years with one man only. I mean, I had to say, okay, well, I had to give hats off to him. He's a good leader, because if one man can put this team like that without any superstars around him, they didn't win a ring, but they had the best record in the NBA 2 years in a row.
I was about to tell you, he didn't win a ring at Cleveland. So, I mean, yes, he played good, he was a decent player, but no ring, nothing to show for it. He was as good as what you have to show. Now he has a couple of rings. What next? Do you think he can continue this winning streak?
Yes, I believe he can, because if he was able to get to the NBA Finals with no stars, and he was the first, he was one of the only few stars in NBA over the last 2 decades to have got to an NBA Finals without any stars around them. All the others, they had other stars. I mean, Jordan was privileged to have he was one of the best players ever, but he had the best three-point shooter, the best rebounder, the best all-rounder in Pippen. You know, so he had a number of best guys around him. You know, so
yeah, I mean,
he had a good.
Yeah, sorry, I was saying those days had stars, more than one good player.
Yeah.
And over the last 10 years, what has the NBA produced really is Ibrahim and your boy King James, you call him? You know, I mean, we could say that Dwayne Wade is in the mold of a star as well, but there really hasn't been much to talk about. And even in the absence of so many stars, LeBron, some have said that it's been a bit disappointing, that the big games he needs to at least bring it up a bit, as was evident in this year's championship. I say that if the rest of the NBA pull the weight, LeBron will find it extremely difficult this time around to another ring. What do you think?
It might be difficult, but then again, it goes back to the point that he makes teams better, and there are not many players in NBA right now who make teams better. There are many stars who other stars do not like to play with. You know, they run, but there are some stars people embrace. And I mean, to see LeBron James physically carry the team throughout the season, because Wade was injured, you know, Bosch was up and down, and they were able to do it. It was very tough, but I believe they have the ability to do it. They're still one of the better teams. And I always believe that the winning team is always the team to beat.
Right. Well, the season is upon us very soon, and we will be looking at in our future shows, stats, and games, and we'll be discussing basketball. And Chris, we may have you back on.
Yes.
Probably to defend LeBron when he has horrible games, and let's see if he's truly a champion that we can talk about for the next 10 years. Hassan,
Well,
anything else?
Yes, yes,
Woman?
yes. Before we sign off and you give your final words, we would like to continue to promote the trick that thrills. We'll be launching that very soon. Keep sending in your videos. So we know we've been getting some videos. We've been getting videos from table tennis, especially. So thanks, Chris, the job he's doing out there with that sport. You know, it's simple. You know, you just do it's 15 seconds thereabouts. You just do a trick in your sport, something that is amazing, something that is skillful, and every week we have 3 videos fighting for the winner of the week. And on the last week of the month, all winners go up against each other, and the winner of that month would win a prize. And we will confirm everything. Just remember, they send the videos to slusportsonline@gmail.com. That's slusportsonline@gmail.com. You send us your videos, the name of the persons in the videos, your name and contact as well, other than your email address. And TTT would we right now looking for it to be viewed on DBS and during sports, the sports show, Monday evening, Tuesday evening, Wednesday evening. Each evening is a different video. Voting begins from Wednesday evening onto the Thursday, onto the Friday afternoon where we close the votes, and the winner is announced on the DBS Sports on the Friday evening. Voting is going to take place on the website. That's www.slusportsonline.com. Again, you go down there and you start voting for your favorite trick. And as I said, we are looking forward to this one. Another thing again, SSN, of course, every Monday with the host, Dyah, Francis, and also Ken Howell. I know you guys juggle it, so one night we may have Dyah, one night we may have Ken. The night that we have both, it's a miracle, you know, so it's really good. And I would like to ask persons to continue sending your questions. You send it to SLU Sports Night. Night is spelled N-I-T-E. I hope the kids are not listening, but SLU Sports Night, N-I-T-E, at gmail.com, or you could send us a tweet the tweet is at SLU Sports Night, N-I-T-E. So SSN, I mean, a show with a difference. We're looking forward to yet another guest every night. It gets even better. I'd like to thank Chris. I'd like to thank you, Dyah. I'd like to thank our producer getting things done at the back. That's Travis. And I'd like to thank Ken. I know he's watching. I know he can't wait to talk about Arsenal. Since their victory, he has not been able to tell you anything. I know that you guys are going to have a special show when he joins you on there. So once again, I'd like to thank all of you guys, and I thank the viewers as well. So have a good night, guys. And Dyah, I pass it over to you.
Once again, you've joined us for another exciting show, Sports Night and Stay Sports Online. I'm your host, Dyah Francis. Join us next week as we discuss the sports that happened the week before and for the future weeks to come. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.